Exposed, she was treated like trash, but in 3 incredible seconds, she transformed everything. Emma stood at the counter of the diner, heart racing as the morning rush swelled. The familiar scent of coffee and freshly baked pies wrapped around her like a comforting hug. Yet, beneath it all, an uncomfortable pressure simmered. The comment made by Mrs. Weatherby, the town's self-proclaimed queen, echoed in Emma's ears. "You really should dress better for your position," she'd said, looking down her nose, her perfectly manicured nails glinting in the diner's fluorescent lights. Emma felt her cheeks flush, anger bubbling beneath her calm facade. It was days like this that made her feel small. But today, a small fire ignited within her. As she took a deep breath and put on her signature smile, she looked around the diner. There was Mr. Johnson, a local veteran, his old baseball cap pulled low over his eyes. His worn-out overalls whispered stories of resilience and honor, and for a moment, Emma felt buoyed by their shared history. "How is your mom doing, Emma?" he asked, his voice steady but soft. "Better, thanks for asking," she replied with a genuine smile. It was that shared connection that bonded this close-knit community, but those connections felt strained lately. With the annual town fair approaching, jitters filled the air, particularly with whispers of a wealthy developer threatening to demolish their beloved diner. Emma felt the weight of that threat deepen with every pie she served, every table she cleared. Just then, the diner doors swung open, and the developer strutted in. Cookie-cutter suit. Sharp smile. The contrast was stark, and Emma fought the urge to roll her eyes. He was a stranger, but his presence rippled tension through the room. How could someone so disconnected from their warmth think he knew what the diner meant to this town? Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. The town hall meeting loomed over her like a dark cloud, where the future of the diner would be determined. As tensions flared that evening, something inside Emma shifted. She felt a burning need to protect the sanctuary that was the diner, the heart of their community. Standing, she gripped the edge of the podium, the crowd's chatter quieted as she took a shaky breath. "I know some of you see me as just a waitress," her voice cracked, but she pressed on. "But this diner, it's been a home for so many. It's where my family found joy during tough times." Memories flickered in her mind, the scent of her mother's cooking mingling with the stories shared over steaming mugs of coffee. Her heart raced as she pulled out a tattered photograph of Mr. Johnson from decades ago, proudly displaying his war medal. "We are more than just customers and workers, we're family," she cried, the emotional weight behind her words cutting through the silence. But the developer shrugged, laughter almost bubbling from him. Doubt washed over her as whispers filled the air, hushed judgments lurking like shadows. Could her words really forge a change? Could she truly unite a town hanging by threads? As a hand rose to silence her, Emma's heart thundered. She was at the crossroads of hope and despair, uncertain if the community she loved would rally for justice or fracture under societal divides. Would they stand together, or would her words fade into silence? The answer hung in the balance, waiting for her to summon the courage to fight for what mattered most. The murmur of the crowd felt like a wave crashing around Emma, a blend of tension and doubt that wrapped around her like a heavy blanket. She could see familiar faces, some nodding in support, others pulling away as if her plea had disrupted the rhythm of their lives. The whispers intensified, a chorus of uncertainty filling the room. Then, just as quickly as it had begun, silence fell. The developer leaned back, arms crossed smugly, as though Emma's words were nothing more than scattered leaves in a storm. Her heart sank, the very air felt charged, pulsing with an uncomfortable intensity. Gathering her thoughts, she locked eyes with Mr. Johnson. His gaze, filled with years of experience, held a flicker of determination. "Emma, you got this," he seemed to say without words. Empowered by that tiny spark, she pushed back against the doubts swirling in her mind. Look, I get it, she started, the edge of her voice sharpening. This is about money, profits, and your grand ideas. But this diner isn't just bricks and mortar. It's our stories, our laughter, and even our tears. I've seen how a simple cup of coffee can bring people together. As if reminded of shared memories, faces around her transformed into something warmer. Mrs. Thompson, the elderly widow who always sat by the window, wiped away a tear. A rush of courage surged through Emma. They say it takes a village to raise a child, but it takes a community to save a diner. A light chuckle accompanied her words, hinting at unity where there was once division. The developer's smile faded, replaced by a deepening frown. He seemed to squirm slightly, clearly unnerved by the emotional tide rising against him. In that moment, Emma felt the unmistakable pull of change. It was as if she had tapped into something larger, the very heart of the town. What if we built a community center on the same lot? A place for all of us to gather, share meals and stories, and maybe, just maybe, keep this diner alive as the heart of that center? Her suggestion hung in the air, breathless and daring. She could feel those around her leaning forward, whispers of support emerging. A few voices rallied, speaking of community, connection, and a future where progress didn't mean losing what mattered. But the developer wasn't finished yet. You're living in a fantasy, Emma. You really think nostalgia can hold back progress? His voice dripped with condescension. How about you give us a chance to show you what progress with heart looks like? She replied, her resolve unyielding, her spirit ignited. People began to shift in their seats, some exchanging glances, as if contemplating alliances that had never crossed their minds before. The tide seemed to turn, inching towards something profound. It was a moment suspended in time, filled with hope and trepidation. But just as those sparks of change flickered brightly, someone at the back of the room rose to their feet. Emma recognized him instantly. Jonathan, the shy artist whose murals brightened the walls of the diner. He rarely spoke out loud, but what he said next would impact everything. Emma's right. We need to fight for more than just a building. We need our stories alive in its walls. His deep voice rang out, galvanizing the crowd. It was a turning point, the energy swelling as people began to stand and cheer, voices rising together like a powerful chorus. Emma's heart raced, hope igniting a fire that had been long buried. But as she looked at the developer's hardening expression, fear flickered. Their community had begun to unite, but could it withstand the onslaught of a powerful adversary? The developer smirked, adjusting his collar, clearly plotting his next move. The battle had begun, but how far would they truly go to protect what they held dear? Emma braced herself for the fight ahead, sensing that the next moments would determine everything. What strength remained in her town, and would they be able to withstand the push of something so big and cold? The answers loomed just outside their reach, waiting to be uncovered. The roar of voices filled the air, excitement tangling with uncertainty. Emma felt as if she were standing amid a storm, the winds of change swirling all around her. The faces that had once blended into the background now glowed with purpose, determination lighting their eyes. She could sense that their community was rallying. Jonathan stood at the front, still breathing heavily from his moment of courage. We can make this place a hub for everyone, he continued, gesturing animatedly. His passion fueled Emma, and she could feel herself rising with his words, riding the waves of collective hope. Let us gather our talents, our resources. We could host art shows, music nights, Emma added, stepping closer to Jonathan, feeling the support of those behind her. Imagine a summer barbecue where families can connect, share stories, and come together as one. She could practically taste the warm, sweet aroma of future gatherings, the laughter spilling over like carefree memories. But somewhere in that sea of enthusiasm, the developer's presence loomed like a dark cloud. That's cute, he interrupted, flattening the atmosphere with scorn. But who's leading this charming little venture? Are you expecting people to just volunteer their time? You think sentiment can actually fund a building? His words dripped with a sinister kind of arrogance that silenced the rising cheer a moment too quickly. Emma felt the weight of his gaze, cold and calculating. The doubt crept in like a sneaky shadow, but she shook her head and clenched her fists. It doesn't have to be just about money. We have something stronger, our dedication, our stories. That's what will fill this place with life. The intensity in her voice sliced through the chill he had created, reigniting the fire in her supporters. One after another, familiar faces in the crowd began to nod. A burst of energy surged forth, bringing spirits back up to where they belong. Yes. We'll find a way, exclaimed Mrs. Thompson. We can hold fundraisers, potlucks, anything. Their hopeful shouts rang out, resonating, echoing in her heart. She felt herself stepping into a role that was larger than anything she could have imagined. With each voice that joined the chorus, Emma realized this wasn't merely about saving the diner, it was about giving her community a voice, a power they had forgotten they had. But in the corner of her vision, she spotted the developer shaking his head. You can't just ignore the cost of running this place. Your dreams won't pay the bills. His tone was icy, cutting through their hopeful anticipation. We can find a way, Emma shouted back, feeling the fire inside her push against the doubt. We won't let you take this away from us without a fight. Silence blanketed the room in a tense moment that felt both fragile and powerful. In that instant, Emma understood, this was not just a battle for a diner, it was about reclaiming their identity, their sense of belonging. Then, a subtle but powerful voice rose from someone she hadn't noticed before. What if we had local businesses sponsor us? We can crowdsource support. A young man stepped forward, igniting murmurs of agreement across the crowd. Ideas were sprouting. That's right. We could blend our resources as a community, shouted another voice, emboldened by the momentum growing around them. Hope flooded back into Emma's chest, and she took a deep breath, her heart racing. They were stepping into their power, breaking down barriers that had kept them divided for so long. Yet, even as optimism flowed, the developer's wicked grin returned, full of disdain and confidence, a storm brewing behind calm waters. You really think that will work? He taunted. Let me tell you, sweetheart, dreams don't pay for themselves. Her heart sank again, but she looked around, drawing strength from each familiar face. They were willing to fight back, and perhaps that was the true weapon they needed. Could they truly forge ahead against such an intimidating force? As Emma stepped forward, her voice steady with determination, she wondered, was there enough drive left to challenge the status quo? What lengths would they go to protect their community's soul? The fight for their stories was only just beginning, and she was ready to dive deeper. With her heart pounding, Emma braced for the battle ahead, knowing that the next steps could change everything again. Would she become the leader her community needed, or would she falter under the weight of expectations? The air hung thick with uncertainty, all eyes on her as a new chapter loomed just beyond the horizon. The crowd buzzed with excitement, a symphony of hopeful chatter and quickened breaths. Emma felt the weight of their collective gaze upon her, a mixture of expectation and determination. The developer's jarring presence still echoed around her, but fear began to melt away, replaced by an overwhelming sense of responsibility. All right, let us do this, she declared, her voice rising above the noise. We come together, not just for a diner, but for our community. We'll show him what we're made of. Forceful nods and energetic shouts erupted from the crowd. Each affirmation pushed her onward. The weight of the world transformed into fuel for her fire. She felt invincible. What they were about to embark on was bigger than anyone had realized. Let us break into smaller groups, Jonathan suggested, his enthusiasm matching her own. We can start brainstorming ideas right now. We'll need volunteers for committees, fundraisers, everything. Emma smiled at him, feeling the bond of camaraderie intensified between them. The crowd broke apart like wave rippling over the shore, a charming chaos taking shape. She joined a group huddled around the back table, their energy infectious. Ideas bounced back and forth, each one igniting more confidence. I know a baker, said a woman named Sarah. She's got the best cinnamon rolls in town. We can do a bake sale. One of my friends owns a local record store. Music events would draw people in, chimed in another voice. The brainstorming surged forward, as they were filled with hope and inspiration. Emma listened intently as they discussed fundraising possibilities: car washes, art shows, bake sales. Each idea came wrapped in laughter, memories, and dreams of building something greater. Yet, beneath this newfound enthusiasm, doubt crept in. Could they gather enough resources? Would the community respond? The developer's voice whispered in her mind, muddying the clarity she felt just moments before. Emma? Jonathan's gentle nudge brought her back. You okay? She offered a weak smile, but it didn't reach her eyes. Yeah, just thinking. Hey, he said quietly, if anyone can do this, it's you. You woke us all up, you know? His words were a balm to her swirling thoughts, and she took a second to breathe, relishing the warmth of camaraderie. But even as her heart swelled with gratitude, the looming reality pressed against her. When they reconvened, Emma stood once again at the front. So here's the plan, she said, fueling the fire of hope among them. Let's set a date for our first community event, a fundraising barbecue. It'll be incredible. We can come together, share food, and build excitement. Cheers erupted as she spoke, the momentum bolstering her spirit. But the shadow of the developer flickered in her mind. How would they afford to keep this momentum? One day at a time, she reminded herself, pushing away the gnawing apprehension. She was here, standing strong, among friends. This was not merely a fundraiser, it was the reclaiming of their essence, their spirits rising together like the famed phoenix. As conversations flourished around her, the developer's skepticism drifted further into the background. Emma looked out at her community, faces illuminated by hope. Yet a small part of her still feared the battle ahead. They had only begun to scratch the surface of what lay before them. Suddenly, a shout broke through the din, cutting like a knife. Hey! Check this! A teenager darted to the center, holding an oversized banner, painted vibrantly with bold colors declaring their fight against the developer. Let us start this movement. The crowd erupted into applause, laughter, and encouragement. The urgency of movement wrapped around Emma, so thick she could feel it in her bones. This wasn't just a fight for a diner or the past. It was a rallying cry to shape their future. But deep down, Emma contemplated the truth: the focus and fire of their determination might not be enough against the looming threat. Would they endure the struggle ahead? Would the community hold firm in the face of doubt? As Emma gazed at her community, the connections between them intensified, but one nagging thought lingered. In this moment of unity, what would it truly take to secure their home? The next chapter awaited, and with it would come the answers to questions she hadn't yet even asked. As the evening sun dipped low, casting an orange glow over the gathering, the excitement hung in the air like the scent of fresh popcorn. Emma felt the warmth of hope radiating from those around her. Their laughter mixed with the sound of clinking glasses and the rustle of paper as plans took shape in front of them. Yet, somewhere beneath all the joy, there was a fear that wouldn't quite fade. All right, team! Emma called out, trying to match their energy. Let us finalize the details. We need a date, a location, an important someone to handle the supplies. She noticed Jonathan leaning in, his enthusiasm persisting. How about the park? It's got the space, and everyone knows it's the best spot in town for events like this. That's a great idea, shouted Sarah, pumping her fist. Everyone loves the park. As the crowd rallied around that suggestion, ideas began to swirl like leaves in the wind. Charts were drawn, voices layered, and enthusiasm ignited like fireworks. With every new task assigned, Emma could feel the community tightening into a fabric of shared purpose. But just as she began to think they were gaining serious ground, a phone buzzed in her pocket. The unexpected noise pulled her out of the moment. It was a message from her dad, letting her know the developer was holding a meeting in town the next day to discuss his plans. Her stomach dropped. How could they face the developer before they had something solid to show? Would he come in with his proposals, symbols of his power, and crush their fledgling dreams before they even got off the ground? Emma, everything okay? Jonathan's voice broke through her fog of anxiety. She forced a smile, hiding her worry. Just an update, she said lightly. but her insides were churning. We need to keep pushing and get everything ready. With renewed energy, the crowd began dividing tasks with a sense of urgency. Each member took on a role. Someone would contact food vendors, another would draft flyers, and a few would start spreading the word online. It was a dizzying whirlwind of activity. Emma felt the ragged edges of her doubt begin to tighten with each new plan. Hours passed. Their laughter grew louder, the camaraderie deeper. Yet, just as she felt her confidence building again, a deep voice cut through the joy like ice. Is this the gathering of people who think they can stop progress? Emma turned slowly, facing the heavy-set figure looming at the edge of the park. The developer stood there, arms crossed, a smirk on his face, dripping with condescension. His presence demanded attention, and it sent a jolt of fear through her. The crowd fell silent, tension knotting their excitement into trepidation. Emma could feel hearts pounding in the stillness. She peered around, searching for signs of doubt in her supporters' eyes. Everyone, stay calm, Emma called out, feeling the surge of protectiveness rise within her. They had come too far to let him intimidate them now. What's your plan, Emma? A barbecue? That's cute, he laughed derisively. But we both know this diner is just an elaborate wishful dream. Each word stung, and she felt a rush of heat. No, it's a vision for our community, she shot back, her voice stronger than she felt. The developer cocked an eyebrow, intrigued yet unimpressed. A vision needs support, finance is a real plan. Good luck with that. With a scoff, he turned to walk away. Emma's heart raced. The crowd shifted uneasily, tension lingering thick in the air. Emma was at a crossroads. Faced with the very real threat of defeat, honesty seeped into her resolve. Why did I let his words get to me? The warmth from her earlier plans began to chill, replaced by a fear of not being enough. Emma? Jonathan's voice was gentle, almost a whisper, yet it hung heavy with meaning. What do we do now? In that moment, she realized this battle was just beginning. Yet the solidarity in their eyes sparked something in her. But how could they turn this situation around? Would they find a way to transform their dreams into action before the developer crushed them? Everyone waited for her answer. And Emma felt the weight of their hope on her shoulders, urging her to rise above the fear. Could they band together to forge a new plan? Or would doubt suffocate their dreams before they could even take flight? In the crowd, she saw Jonathan's unwavering gaze, and with it came a flicker of determination. The next move needed to be bold, a game-changer that would rally the entire community. As the sun dipped below the horizon, Emma knew she would have to step into the light and fight for what was right. The challenge loomed large before her, but ready or not, the culmination of their fight for the diner would begin tomorrow. Would they emerge victorious or crushed under the weight of reality? The moonlit park transformed, shadows stretching across the ground, unfamiliar and eerie. Emma stood silently, her breath catching as she frustratedly searched for the right words. Her friends, their faces a mix of worry and determination, looked to her for guidance. Now's our moment, Emma thought, her heart pounding in rhythm with the shifting emotions in the crowd. We can't let him rattle us. With a deep breath, she stepped forward and raised her hand. Listen up. Her voice defied the hush in the park, cutting through doubt. We will not let this guy sway us. We have something that he can't by community. We are many, and he is just one. A cheer erupted, igniting a spark in the faces of her friends. Emma felt the heat of their support wash over her, each clap and shout a reminder of why they were there. What we have is more than just a diner. It's memories, laughter, and a place where everyone is welcome, where we can gather and grow together, Emma continued, her confidence swelling. Exactly, Jonathan yelled, stepping beside her, his presence grounding. This isn't just about a building. It's about belonging. Feeling adrenaline coursing through her veins, Emma glanced around, locking eyes with the crowd. She saw hope flicker like a candle in each pair of eyes, and her own determination ignited brighter. But we need a plan, Emma called out. We need to gather every voice, every story of this diner, and make it loud enough so that even he can't ignore us. Our strength is in our unity, and tomorrow we need to show him just how strong we are. The tension in the air was replaced with a solid probability. The crowd murmured agreements, shaking off their earlier fears. Emma felt like a conductor as the harmony grew, everyone rallying around a shared purpose. Let us collect stories. Every memory that ties us to this diner. Pictures, anecdotes, anything that represents this place. Emma shouted, her spirit soaring. We need to show him how much this means to us. How can we do this better than a picnic? We'll organize a community day. A day to celebrate all that we are. Cheers erupted again, louder than before, and little by little, dread faded into excitement. They began chanting slogans, drowning out the voice of the developer still echoing in their minds. The laughter returned, frenetic and electrifying. They were planning not just to protect the diner, but to honor it. With renewed vitality, Emma smiled. Filled with purpose, she breathed in the energy from the crowd, excitement spiraling as they rallied together. They exchanged ideas, excitement sparking quick decisions and clear roles. Let us meet at my house tonight to brainstorm, shouted Sarah, her face aglow with possibility. We'll create a huge banner, get the press involved, and post online. We'll zoom out our story and our vision. That idea stuck like a melody, echoing through their chatter as they brainstormed. Emma's anxiety morphed into anticipation. Each voice rose, filled with passion, inspiring courage and connection as they pored over practical details. But amid the enthusiasm, one question gnawed at Emma, shadowing her joy. Would all their efforts be enough? Was it enough to sway someone like the developer? As they planned the details, Emma found Jonathan's hand on her shoulder reassuringly. She glanced at him, and their eyes met in silent understanding. Together, they could navigate the storms. Yet just as she began to feel momentum gaining, Emma remembered the meeting tomorrow. The uncertainty loomed. Could their community rally truly stand against the weight of reality? Would their stories resonate enough to shift the narrative, or would they merely be silenced? The sun may have set on one day, but tomorrow, a new opportunity to fight would rise. And in her heart, Emma knew this might be their moment to rewrite the story. Was she ready to stand against the storm, knowing deep down, doing so might change everything? The sun peeked over the horizon, casting a golden light that washed over the park. Emma felt a flutter of hope mixed with anxiety as she trudged toward the diner for their first official planning meeting. She could hear laughter, feel the energy buzzing in the air, but inside, uncertainty twisted like a tightly bound knot. The smell of fresh coffee greeted her as she stepped inside the diner. It was early, but already the tables were filled with friends, some waving as she walked in. Their enthusiasm was infectious, yet her heartbeat thudded heavily, each pulse reminding her of the weight of the task ahead. "Emma?" Sarah called, waving her over. "You're just in time. We're finalizing our list for the Community Day activities." Emma settled in at the table, grabbing a steaming cup of coffee. The warmth wrapped around her fingers like a comforting hug. "What's the plan?" she asked, trying to keep her tone upbeat. "Games, food stalls, stories shared around the fire pit. We thought we could even have a small gallery of photos that residents bring in. Each one tells a story," Jonathan chimed in, his eyes sparkling with excitement. That idea struck Emma as brilliant. "We can also include a space for people to write their memories. A kind of collective diary," she proposed. The words flowed out, tumbling into the atmosphere around them. "Yes," Sarah agreed, jotting it down. "That will really show the developer what this diner means to everyone." Emma felt the rush of camaraderie swell as they tossed ideas around, each suggestion pulling them tighter into a community woven with shared memories. But as the laughter burst around her like fireworks, another thought flickered in the back of her mind. The meeting with the developer loomed, like a cloud darkening the sunny day. I hope we're doing enough," Emma admitted, her voice quieter than the buzz surrounding her. Jonathan leaned closer, his expression serious. "We have to believe we can make a difference. This isn't just a building, it's our history. We can't let anyone take that away without a fight." His words fueled her courage. "All right, it's settled then. We'll put everything we've got into this. If we do it together, we can't fail." Hours passed in a flurry of activity and chatter. Excitement buzzed as plans took shape. Emma felt herself carried along, fueled by the passion of her friends. But as they discussed logistics, her mind wandered back to the developer. What if their stories didn't resonate? What if strong voices could easily be ignored? Later, as they wrapped up and the sun dipped lower in the sky, Emma found herself stepping outside. The cool air brushed against her skin, a stark contrast to the warm, lively atmosphere inside. She leaned against the diner's brick exterior, taking a deep breath. A moment later, Jonathan joined her, leaning against the wall beside her. "You okay?" he asked, concern etching lines on his forehead. "Just thinking," Emma sighed. "I want us to win, but I can't shake the feeling that it might not be enough." Jonathan nodded, understanding in his eyes. "We're doing it for our community, right? Each of those memories we collect, every person showing up, those stories matter. And they count more than one guy's profit." His words sunk deep within her. "Tomorrow we'll lay it all out for the developer," Emma said, pulling herself away from doubt. "It'll be a true representation of who we are. A celebration of our community's heart." But as she spoke, shadows from earlier crept back. "What happens if he doesn't care?" she whispered, fear gnawing at her resolve. Jonathan turned sharply, his voice low but firm. "Then we show him just how wrong he is. We won't just stand aside. We're a family, and we'll fight for each other." Wondering if their determination was truly enough to make a difference, Emma let a glimmer of hope spark within her heart. "Tomorrow, we fight for our future," she declared, feeling a sense of unity wash over her. As they shared a quiet moment, both aware of the storm on the horizon, Emma wondered what it would take to truly make an impact. What would happen when the truth they shared collided with the hard realities laid upon them? The following day dawned bright and clear, but Emma felt a chill creeping into her bones. As she prepared for the meeting with the developer, she tried to steady the fluttering in her stomach. Gathering her courage, she dressed carefully, as if the right outfit could somehow shield her from the weight of the day. At the diner, the usual morning buzz felt heightened. Familiar faces were deep in conversation, voices filled with a mix of excitement and apprehension. Sarah and Jonathan sat at their table, flipping through the notes they had gathered. Emma joined them, her heart thumping in sync with the chatter around the room. "Ready?" Jonathan asked, looking at her with a reassuring smile. His confidence was infectious, but it didn't quite dull her anxiety. "As ready as I'll ever be," Emma replied, her voice wavering slightly. They had poured so much into this day. Their community's legacy hung in the balance, not just the diner but a piece of their home. As the clock ticked closer to their meeting time, the group huddled, sharing last-minute plans and points they wanted to emphasize. "We need to make it personal," Sarah urged. "Those stories we gathered, each one is part of what makes this place special." Emma nodded, her fingers fidgeting with a notebook filled with scribbled memories. "We can't let them see us as just another group of residents. We have to show them everything this diner represents." They exchanged determined glances before the time came to march toward the developer's office, located just 2 blocks away. Each step felt heavy, as if the weight of history pressed down on them. But with each push forward, courage rose, rooted in their shared purpose. They were not just fighting for brick and mortar, they were fighting for every laugh shared, every moment cherished within that space. Inside the developer's office, the atmosphere shifted. The cold, sterile setting contrasted sharply with the warmth of their diner. A large conference table loomed before them, and across it sat the developer, a man whose demeanor was as imposing as his polished shoes. "Thank you for coming," he began, his voice smooth yet detached. Emma felt her resolve waver but pushed through the doubt. This was it. Time to lay everything on the line. Jonathan spoke first, his passion igniting the room. "We're here to tell you what this diner means to our community." He began to share anecdotes, leading into the collaborative diary, the pictures, and their heartfelt memories. Emma watched as Jonathan shared a story about a local couple who met there, their first date, reminding everyone present of the magic the diner encapsulated. Emma stepped forward, gathering her courage. "This is more than just a diner. It's a gathering place, A place where stories are forged, where family bonds grow stronger, she stressed, her voice gaining strength. We all have a piece of our hearts tied to this place. Can you really put a price on that? The developer leaned back, his fingers steepled together. I appreciate your input, but you must understand, at the end of the day, this is a business decision. A wave of despair swept through Emma, but Sarah placed a hand on her shoulder, grounding her. We can't allow you to see us as just a business decision. That's not who we are. Suddenly, a spark of hope ignited within Emma. What if we turn this into something more than just a meeting? Let us not only discuss numbers today, let us share voices, stories, moments. Let the community stand witness. She could feel the room shifting as murmurs echoed among her friends. Emma took a deep breath, a daring idea forming. We could organize an event, a showcase of our history, our impact. Picture it, people coming together, sharing their stories right here in front of you. You'll see what the diner means in real time. For a moment, silence enveloped the room. Emma's heart raced as she awaited the developer's response. All eyes were on him, the pressure palpable. Was she truly offering a lifeline, or had she crossed the line? What would he say? Would he embrace the idea, or would he dismiss their hopes as just another gimmick? The weight of anticipation hung thick in the air, and Emma realized that this was her moment, the culmination of a community's spirit primed to shine. But what if he crushed her dreams right there? Would their voices matter? The developer's gaze lingered on Emma, and for a heartbeat, time seemed to freeze. He shifted his weight, contemplating. Emma's breath hitched, the weight of the moment wrapping around her like a vice. Then, a flicker of something, curiosity, maybe? Crossed his face. An event, huh? He finally said, leaning forward slightly. And what exactly would this entail? Emma seized the opening, heart pounding like a drum. We could gather the community, former employees, patrons, families who've celebrated milestones here. Each of them can share their stories. She gestured passionately, envisioning the crowd. Imagine a warm summer evening, tables filled with dishes the diner is known for, laughter and memories floating in the air. It's not just about a building, it's about our history and connection. The developer rubbed his chin, considering. And you think that would sway my decision? Yes. Jonathan chimed in, his enthusiasm infectious. You'll see the diner through our eyes. It's not merely a financial asset, it's a part of our identity. We want you to feel that, to see it firsthand. Emma felt the tension shift ever so slightly, hope kindling in the hearts of her friends. But doubt hung in the air. What if he dismissed them outright? I need more than your stories to make a case, the developer replied, caution lingering in his tone. And I don't want to waste time on a gimmick. If you want this, you'll need to show me that people truly care. A silence fell, thick and daunting. Emma glanced at Sarah and Jonathan, their expressions a mixture of determination and fear. What if they couldn't pull it off? Then we'll make it happen, Emma declared, her voice stronger than she felt. We'll organize it. The community will turn out. You'll see that this diner isn't just a place, it's a legacy. Her heart quickened, thinking of the warmth of their shared experiences, the laughter, the late-night talks. They wouldn't just fight for bricks but for memories that could never be measured. The developer's brow furrowed, and Emma could almost see the wheels turning in his mind. All right, let's say you put together this showcase. I'll consider it, but I can't make any promises. He paused, his expression softening just a fraction. However, I will need tangible numbers. How many people would attend? How can you ensure that this isn't just a fleeting moment? As Emma considered his questions, confidence surged within her. We'll gather commitments. We can get a sign-up sheet, reach out through social media. We'll show you that this diner has an army of supporters ready to stand together. Very well, he replied, crossing his arms. I'll prepare a contract for the showcase. If it can convince me of the diner's worth, I'll take that into consideration. Relief washed over Emma, and she caught her friends' eyes, their anxious smiles asking if they could really make this happen. Thank you, she managed, hope breaking through as they began to discuss plans. As they left the office, Adrenaline surged through her veins. The air outside felt light, filled with possibility. They had a chance if they worked hard enough. This event could truly change everything. But Emma's mind felt heavy with one lingering thought. What if they didn't attract enough people? What if the community turned away from them? Would all their efforts, all their hopes, be in vain? Tomorrow, they'd need to rally the community like never before. They had to turn every whisper of hope into a shout of support. The weight of this new challenge settled on her shoulders, exhilarating yet terrifying. As they gathered in front of the diner, Emma felt the warmth of the building against her back, a comfort, yet a reminder of the fight ahead. The future of their beloved diner rested in a family's hands. Would they respond? Little did they know, in the shadows, someone was watching their every move, intrigued by the stirring passion unfolding before them. The real challenge wasn't about the diner anymore. It was about awakening the spirit of a community that had almost forgotten its strength. Would Emma and her friends summon that courage in time? As that new day began to take shape, Emma felt a spark of excitement mixed with a hint of dread. The sun illuminated the diner like a hearth, warm and inviting. Yet, it was the looming deadline of their showcase event that sent waves of anxiety crashing against her resolve. Today is the day we turn whispers into shouts, she declared to Jonathan and Sarah as they gathered over steaming mugs of coffee. Absolutely. Let us get the word out, Jonathan replied, his enthusiasm infectious. Emma glanced around at their community, bustling and vibrant, yet unaware of the challenge that lay ahead. This day wasn't just about fighting for the diner, it was about reigniting the town's spirit. She felt courage tug at her, but one question nagged at her mind. Would people rally when it truly mattered? Together, they divided their tasks. Sarah headed off to post on social media. Jonathan took to the streets, spreading the word door to door, collecting signatures and rallying support. Emma stood in front of the diner, clutching a bright poster depicting the cozy diner scene, families laughing over cups of coffee. This wasn't just decoration. It was a call to arms. As each hour passed, Emma felt the weight of the past lift slightly. Her fears began to be replaced by a strong conviction that their stories mattered. Each familiar face she encountered reminded her of the importance of their collective mission. Mr. Johnson was among the first. "I'll be there, Emma. I'll bring my whole family," he said with a grin, the warmth of his smile etching faith into her heart. Slowly but surely, the community began to wake up to the initiative. People signed the commitment sheets, sharing their memories, and the buzz bubbled like freshly brewed coffee. Each signature felt like an armor of strength they were crafting together. As the sun dipped low in the sky, casting a warm glow over the diner, Emma, her heart racing, prepared for the showcase. The diner bustled with energy, filled with laughter and stories shared over steaming plates. Tables were adorned with photographs, each telling its own piece of history, memories that sparkled with love, and then it happened, people poured in. Families, friends, young and old, each represented a thread in the fabric of their community, weaving something beautiful and vibrant. The developer watched with an inscrutable expression, but as the noise reached a crescendo, that small flicker of doubt cast in his eyes began to fade. Emma took a deep breath. Stepping up to the temporary stage, she felt the crowd hush, anticipation hanging in the air. Today isn't just about saving a diner. It's about celebrating our connections, our stories, and our community. We are here to tell you, together, that this diner isn't just a building. It's our heart and soul. Her voice soared, breaking through the tension. One by one, community members stood to share their anecdotes. Tales of first dates, birthday celebrations, and comfort during difficult times echoed around the room. Emma felt pride and inspiration igniting in the atmosphere. Each laugh, each tear, was a pillar, fortifying the stand they were taking. Even the local kids chimed in, their innocent voices rising like sweet melodies. We love the diner because of the milkshakes. Their innocent joy filled the room, a reminder of the diner's special role in their lives. The crowd burst into spontaneous applause, reverberating like a heartbeat. Emma turned to the developer, whose eyes now had widened, absorbing the warmth and love filling the space. Was he beginning to feel it? The night wrapped around them like a warm blanket as Emma stepped down, her heart alive with gratitude. Shouts of support rang through the air, transforming into chants. Save the diner! Save our stories! Then the developer cleared his throat, silencing the room once more. All eyes turned toward him, hope mingling with uncertainty. All right, he began. His voice was steady, fitting it dripped with apprehension. It seems you have made your point. The tension riveted sharp through the air. Could it be? Was he relenting? But I will need to see tangible interests beyond this. Emma blinked, taken aback but unyielding. We'll do whatever it takes. We'll gather more support, show you we can thrive. With a calculated nod, he added, consider this an opportunity. Show me commitment beyond today, and we'll discuss options. The crowd roared with exhilaration, and in that moment, everything changed. They had one space to breathe, a chance to fight back. As the evening concluded, Emma soaked in the warmth of their effort. She could hardly take in what they'd achieved. The diner not only stood strong but so did they, as a community united. The connections fostered through laughter, love, and memories wrapped around her like an embrace. Emma caught sight of Jonathan and Sarah, their eyes gleaming with dreams realized. Just then, she felt a rush of emotion, a deep sense of belonging blossoming within her heart. We did it! She gasped, and they erupted in joyous laughter. Tomorrow wouldn't be without its challenges, but tonight? Tonight they had proven that together, they were unstoppable. They were woven together like threads in a rich tapestry, connected and alive, and ready to face whatever came next. This is the moment they fought for. This was the power of community. Do you feel the power of connection? If you want to follow their journey, you need to subscribe now, so you don't miss a single moment of inspiration. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and spread the love. Comment below about your favorite moments and how community impacts your life. And don't wait not even one more second. Share this story with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Together, let us keep the spirit of connection alive.